I'm not a great believer in a flash idea. People say, when did the idea come to you? And I say, it doesn't usually come to me. I work at it, and the idea develops, and then every now and then in that idea there's a jump. It's not like a god coming out of your head, some big sign, sort of house with a roof. It doesn't work that way. And I like that. Architecture is very much about problem solving, and I like problems. Architecture is much easier when there are a lot of problems. It's very difficult for me, even it's a blank piece of paper. I don't know what to do on it. I'm not an abstract artist. I'm not even a writer. I can't say I'm going to do a house like I write a book of. I can't do a house without having a client. It's a bit the same question, which one do you like most? And I say I have 5 children and I have 11 grandchildren, and I can't say which one I like most. I like them all. And sometimes I find them rather difficult, and sometimes it's fantastic. We're all the same. I did a small house for my parents, or we did a small house for our parents. I learned a lot of that. I mean, I'm also a great believer in teamwork. I really don't believe any longer that it's possible for an architect to do on its own, something on his or her own. We work together, we interrelate, we intercommunicate. Whenever we do a job, especially abroad, we always collaborate. Sometimes we collaborate here, but we also collaborate with sociologists, with artists. We've had this little debate ever since he entered the discussion, which was about 30 years ago, I suppose, on the National Gallery, if I remember rightly. That was the first time he entered that debate. And strangely enough, he carries a lot of weight. And that's the real problem. He's not willing to debate. When we tried to challenge him to debate, when the RIBA or the BBC said, we'll have a debate, and then Buckingham Palace wrote back, the prince does not debate. So I said, that's exactly the problem. And also this idea that yesterday was okay is a ridiculous concept. Of course yesterday is okay because you have no responsibility for yesterday. You have responsibility for today and for tomorrow. We use our models for work. We don't really do models per se. We are sometimes forced to do models for clients, but we don't. Then they usually keep those models anyhow. So really, I see a model as a tool. So it's like a computer. It's a tool. Now it allows you to understand things which you could not understand, or understand much more easily than you could a few years ago, and that's very important. That's very important. But the model is still a very good way of understanding what you're doing and of developing what you're doing. There's a lot to be said for not having a rule. I mean, the two are married. It's like, it's a science. I'm always saying it's a mixture of science and art. We as architects, I think it's an advantage, but buildings have to stand up. Yeah. So you can't. My brother-in-law writes films, and I have an advantage because when the film star or the director of the studio say, I want that end changed, I can say, if you do that, the building will collapse. He can't do that. So I have something I could actually say, you can't do it structurally. Now, there are many more complex things than structure, of course. But yes, we try to create a narrative when we're doing architecture, whether we're doing cities. I spend a very large amount of my time on design of cities. And we try to evolve a language, things which interest us. We break it down, just like a sentence. We break it down into phrases, into words, into phrases, into sentences, into paragraphs, into chapters. I mean, in the sense you have that exactly the same in architecture.